Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. This podcast is brought to you by Surfshark VPN. Now more than ever, our internet reliance is increasing, from talking to loved ones, to streaming your favourite shows, to watching any of the podcasts here on Stretford Paddock. And with that increased footprint, so does our need for proper internet security. And Surfshark is a VPN service that encrypts your data, which stops anyone unwanted from seeing it. Another great thing about Surfshark is it allows you to see all of the great content from around the world. Simply sign in to Brazil and check out their Netflix. You can watch Croatian Amazon Prime. And when you're on holiday, you can still watch all of your shows from back home simply by changing it to your home nation. It is that simple. And currently Surfshark have an amazing deal. By clicking the link in the description and using our code Paddock, you can get a whole 3 months extra for free. That is 3 months extra for free. In addition, Surfshark also offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. Again, use that link in the description and use the code Paddock for 3 months for free and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. This is the Paddock Podcast. My name is Joe. We've got Jay squirreling away on his
Sorry,
laptop.
I'm sending a message to the producers there. Just something I noticed.
Sending a message to them emotionally.
Big time now, isn't it?
And we've got Aaron Willis on the show as well. Good to have you back.
Yeah, good to be back.
How
Thanks.
are you doing?
Good, mate. How are you?
Very well. I mean, United have won. Pretty much everyone else except say have dropped points. So things could be slightly worse. But we are going to be talking about this whole Arsenal debacle. Like, just the amount of crying and tears I'm seeing online from what was a relatively understandable set of decisions. We're going to get into that. We're going to be looking as well at just the continuing. We've talked about VAR enough, but we want to sort of look at how we can move this forward. What can actually change? Can it be fixed? Should we get rid? Let's have a look at what United and what the Premier League can do differently to sort this out, because it's every other week. There's not just like a little controversy. There's a gigantic frenzy of mistakes and errors and club statements, which we'll get into in a second. First of all, Jay, though, what do you make of the goal against Arsenal for Newcastle and the sort of more so really the following just meltdown from Arteta?
Well,
and Arsenal Football Club generally.
In all honesty, right, if that was United that conceded that goal, you'd be moaning. You would. Let's not pretend you wouldn't. You'd have said, oh, the ball looked like it went out. You'd have said, oh, he looks like he's offside. And you'd have said that was a push on Gabriel by Joe Linton. You would have. And I get that. I'd have been moaning about it. But then you see this sort of meltdown from Arteta. And I hate the word meltdown because it's overused, but it was. He proper lost his rag, didn't he? It was almost like the Rafa Benitez facts sort of little rant. It wasn't like you said, oh, I'm not having it. He came out like he'd been proper hard done by, like it's this massive travesty. Went on a rant. And then what made me laugh is he did this rant on the press conference. Then he did the individual interviews with the same rant again. He didn't calm down. He just kept going with it all. And also, he didn't actually pinpoint what was wrong. He just sort of went everything, all of it. Yeah. Like, he didn't say the ball had gone out or that it was a foul. He just went, hey, it was all wrong. It's a disgrace. I've been here for 20 years. This league's meant to be the best league in the world. It's better be better than start naming all these random countries. And it's not. And I'm like, whoa, this is like a proper meltdown. I can almost respect it. Now, a manager losing his rag after a decision, I get. Fergie was the master of it. Yeah, he would call out the fixtures. He'd call out referees. He got in trouble, didn't he, for saying Alan Wiley wasn't fit enough. Yeah. When he was running's a bit of a compliment, moving around the pitch at a rather slow pace, remember? And he got in hot water for that. So Fergie would moseying down around the ambling around the pitch.
Lolloping.
Exactly, waddling.
Waddling, I like waddling. Waddling.
Do you know what I mean? So
padding around.
Yeah, it was like one of them ones where I think, okay, I get it, manager. But then what makes me laugh is Arsenal just do the most Arsenal thing ever and release a club statement which basically saying, yeah, whatever everything Arteta said, we agree with, he's right. I thought, why have you done that? What's the point in that? Like, he's had his rant. Yes, he's upset. Maybe it gets in the referee's ears, whatever it has, affects him, who knows. But then to Arsenal the next day to release a statement saying, oh, well, we agree that he was right and we back him and all this, I think was just so Arsenal. Honestly, it was just ridiculous.
It was an Arsenal thing to do.
It was, wasn't it?
But I think, I don't know, is he looking at a fine for this now? Because back in the day, you go public against a referee, you you get a fine, don't you? Is that
Yeah, no, you didn't. Fergie got a fine. I remember Pep got in trouble once. And I remember when I did a press conference, I tried to ask him a question about refereeing.
Yeah.
Because, do you know when you work in local radio, right?
Yeah.
You get stitched up sometimes where they'll go, oh, we've got a big campaign coming up. Ask him about this. And you go,
Ask him about flapjacks.
Yeah. We're doing a thing on Manchester's best black pudding. Ask him about that. And you're like, he's not going to want to answer that. But, you know, you've got to. So I had to ask him. We were doing this thing. We were covering a story about referees on grassroots level were going on strike. So I wanted to ask him about that. You know, like he gives a toss about that. He wouldn't even know what I was on about. It's like his first season in English football. And I was like, as you know, he's talking, you think everyone's looking at you, and you're thinking, oh my God, this is horrible. Yeah. And I was like, there's referees at grassroots level are going on strike because of the way they've been treated. Do you think we need to show more respect to referees? And he was like, I don't talk about referees. And then I thought, I can't use that. So I did a follow-up, thinking my whole deeper.
The same question again.
I thought, I need something I could use as like a soundbite. So I was like, I get you can't talk about referees, but in general, and he was just like, I don't speak about referees. I was like, give up. But it was like, Pep was like on that thing where he'd been in trouble for talking about referees after the game, so he didn't want to talk about it. Arteta's calling it out, saying it's a disgrace. Acting like there's a conspiracy as well, so you'd expect something to happen, but I don't know.
I honestly think it was so embarrassing from Arteta.
Go on, I love this.
He's literally acting like an absolute baby. Like, coming out and saying, I feel sick to be part of this. He's like a kid on TikTok. Like, oh my God, someone's eating pineapple on pizza. I feel I'm going to be sick. Like,
it's pretty minging
just
pineapple.
Messing about, over the top, fake nonsense. And the fact that he's, 45-year-old bloke saying he feels sick because a goal's been conceded against him. It's a joke. What are you on about? Yeah, there was 2 or 3 different things, 2 or 3 50-50 decisions in a row that all went Newcastle's way. Fair enough, be pissed off. But calling it a disgrace and saying that he feels sick to be part of it, like he's just found out his wife is a war criminal or something, like this, I can't believe it, I feel sick, like everything, like it's just a decision that's gone against you, mate. And then Arsenal bringing that statement afterwards, proper copying Liverpool off as well, because Liverpool did a statement, so we're going to do a statement.
Well, yeah, we have to do one.
Everyone does a statement now. Like, shut up. You don't need to release a statement saying that you back your own manager in something he said, because in that moment he is the representative of Arsenal, and that's just what it is. I just think, like,
you know what I love it, like he goes,
what's he said?
Like, there's a lot, but he says, someone's asked like, why are you upset? He goes, it's not a goal for more than one reason. It's not a goal, too much at stake, and this is what it did for me. We put so much effort in, and it is a disgrace. I feel embarrassed. I did sweaty years in this country.
Yeah.
Like he's just got out of jail.
That's what I mean.
I did sweaty years, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I got a bit off for good behaviour, and this is nowhere near the levels to describe this as the best league in the world. Because of that?
Too far, like you. Yeah, I believe in terms of his mourning, he's gone too much.
Yeah,
but I tell you what, I think it'll take a brave VAR room now to go against Arsenal.
Well, this is the point, isn't it?
That's what I mean.
This is what he's doing it for, and I think that this is more calculated than it seems. Because on the surface, it's a bloke who we already know is prone to a sort of a meltdown. Like, a corner goes the wrong way, and he's on his knees screaming. Like, let alone losing a game because of a bit of a sort of unlucky or dodgy decision or whatever. But what we see with these things is referees and VAR people and all that, they are human beings and they react like humans do. So when you get put pressure on, when someone sort of coerces you into thinking, actually, if I do X, I get a load of shit, you might not want to do X, because human nature is, I'm going to avoid getting absolutely bollocked, dragged through the mud in the press, on social media, by every Arsenal fan, no doubt getting all sorts of abuse and slander as well. I'll probably avoid the thing that makes that happen. And you can see how refs do it. They're not
100%.
multi-millionaires. I mean, I'm sure some of them have got a few quid in the bank, and I know they'd get paid a decent amount of money. But they're not so rich that it doesn't matter to them whether their life is being made a living hell or not. Like, and I just think that next time, if that same situation happened again and those same refs were there, they wouldn't give that goal. They would give the foul.
Yeah,
they would give it out.
I
do, because look at, like,
have an effect on him.
We've seen Mark Clattenburg saying that he did it in the past before. We saw Mike Dean twice saying about, we talked about the other day how if when Aguero took his shirt off after they'd won the league in 2012 and he booked him, Mike Dean said on a podcast the other day, if that had been a second yellow and he'd had to give it, he said, I just wouldn't have given it and I'd have got a slap on the wrist. I'd have got in trouble for not obeying the rule. So they're willing, in certain circumstances, to allow emotions and moments to sort of cloud their ability to ref by the rules. So what's to say that, a situation like that where we've seen it in the past with Klopp screaming about United not getting penalties. We got one in the next, 8 months after that?
Because he's planted the seed,
Yeah.
and I think Arteta, I understand he is aggrieved, he's clearly shown it, but he's calculated. Because if we look about like modern day technology or whatever, this is a modern day Fergie thing. Because Fergie got into the heads and the minds of referees before VAR. And before, when we at Old Trafford, some decisions you think, actually, if Ferguson hadn't been in his ear, probably would have got away with that. Maybe this is the new Fergieism, where now the VAR room or the referees they won't want another backlash. I guarantee now, you watch Arsenal's next 10 games and watch VAR.
What do you think, though, you guys? Because I get they're having a word in the getting in the VAR's heads, but people have likened this to the Rafa Benitez facts rant. And I remember reading an interview, I think it was either with Jamie Carragher or Steven Gerrard, about that. And they said when they saw that, it didn't fill them with confidence in the manager. They thought, the manager's losing the plot. We don't need this. And I wonder whether some of the players are looking at him going, turn it in a bit, come on.
You will.
Yeah. Because it doesn't seem to me to be a manager who's forthright making a point. It seems a bit like a guy who's just getting far too emotional.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Saying I feel sick to be part of this, and it's a disgrace.
Being
and
it's a bit mad.
That is over the top language. That doesn't quite reflect the fact that you've lost a tight game to Newcastle away from home. You lose. You're going to lose games every season. That's like you've just lost a Champions League final, or you've just been knocked out of a big competition. It felt overly emotional to me, and you see that all the time. Like last season when they had that bit of a wobble, every single goal, every single moment, he's living it like they're going to die if they lose. And I know sometimes you want that, and you want to see 100% commitment and passion, and he's undoubtedly done a very good job at Arsenal. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. Lacking trophies, but one FA Cup is something. But in the league, they're really pushed on. But I do think a bit of a weakness, if I was an Arsenal player, seeing the manager every time anything happens completely losing his head. I don't think that's necessarily a great thing to be around, and that being your leader wouldn't fill me with confidence personally.
I don't even feel like it's as much. I get your point. I'm not disagreeing with you completely. I get your point of having his message going out to the VAR, getting in referees' heads and all the rest of it. I think it was a lot of deflection because Arsenal were poor. Arsenal were poor against Newcastle. Newcastle, for me, deserved the win. Newcastle looked like the only team that was going to get a winner. A few of the Arsenal players didn't turn up. It wasn't a good performance by them. I know St James is a difficult ground to go to. I'm not disputing that. But it was a poor performance by Arsenal. And I think it felt a bit like, I'm going to make it all about this VAR decision. And it's worked, to be fair to him, because all the talk has been about the VAR and the goal and should it have stood. And we've been watching Sky this morning, and it's been like the whole repeat of is that a push? Is it gone out of play? Is it done, should it have been offside? All the rest of it. None of the talk has really been on the fact that Newcastle were all over Arsenal for a lot of the game. And Arsenal never, for me, got going. I don't think that was a particularly good performance by Arsenal. And I feel like there was a little bit of deflection. I'll get in some of the comments before I get you lads to comment on that. Smart Alec, welcome to the Academy. He's just joined. He's a member now. Much appreciated your support. There's extra content on the members section as well. Someone said something about Arteta looking like Captain Black from Duncan McCockiner says, how much... Oh, fell for that one, didn't I? Sorry. How much does Arteta look like Captain Black from Captain Scarlet, though? Weirdly, Captain Black was from Salford. Yes, he was. I think he was. Funnily enough, I remember that one as a kid vaguely, and he's repeated it a million times. All right, Duncan.
Who said that?
No, I'm not going to fall for it twice. What is it George Bush said? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I won't get fooled again. Nathan Rice says, VAR seems to be worse than ever this season. It's every week. Several clubs have had decisions go against them this season. The main problem is the consistency of it. Bobby's United said, I'm a middle class man. Train ticket, 100 quid. Game ticket, 50 quid. Hotel, 70 quid. To watch what? The captain crying like a baby. I am Portuguese, but I would not take Bruno as my captain. I mean, I love the fact he's named all the prices that he spent on that.
Yeah, it was sort of like a MasterCard advert, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's done his research. He knows exactly what I mean. TripAdvisor, I like that.
Yeah, it was a massive. It was like, ticket, 50 quid. Hotel, 100 quid. Watch United get beaten up 1-0 off Crystal Palace at Old Trafford. Priceless.
Love it. Yeah.
Anyway, Joseph, you're American, aren't you?
Just a bit, mate.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know,
Sort of.
but we're just moving out of fresh ball fall.
Yeah.
That's what you Americans call autumn, innit?
We call it fall, yeah. Well, fresh ball fall, we call it these days.
Fresh ball
Do you know,
fall.
autumn lasts until like the 21st of December. Don't feel like it, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Christmas is...
You're just lying. You're making things up that aren't true.
I'm not.
Well, that isn't true. I
Tell
don't
you what
think
is
so.
true, though.
Go on.
9 million men worldwide trust Manscaped.
Yes.
Right. If 9 million people
Yeah.
love something,
Yeah.
probably all right, innit?
Yeah.
Ignore, numerous sort of elections throughout the last 100 years. Just think about the positives, yeah? If 9 million people said that baked beans were decent, you'd have them.
Yeah.
9 million people love Manscaped, yeah?
Yes.
You should join them as well. And here's with Manscaped, here you get 20% off and free shipping.
Yes.
It's a special deal. Using the code DEVILS20 at checkout. The link is in the description, by the way, so click on that. Using the code DEVILS20, you get 20% off and free shipping. Now, what does Manscaped bring, Joe?
Right. It gives you the lawnmower trimmer.
Right.
Now, there could be a breakthrough with this as well. So depending on when you're getting this, I'd go and check it out because there's going to be big news on the horizon with the lawnmower technology that Manscaped have got with the skin safe technology. Yeah. So go and check it out. Plus you get the crop preserver. Plus you get the crop toner. Plus you get the shed travel bag. Plus you get the boxer briefs with the anti-chafing technology. You get all that, yeah? So it keeps your fresh balls smelling nice like pumpkin spice. Oh, yeah?
Nice,
which is what you want, innit? You want your balls smelling like pumpkins.
We don't want them smelling bad, do you?
No.
I love pumpkins, mate.
I do. Do you like pumpkins?
I love pumpkins. I love pumpkin soup.
Oh dear. Well, there you go then, you see. Your nether regions can smell like
So
pumpkin soup.
But without
There
the
you go.
soup, because they'll be nice and dry.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they won't be wet like soup.
Yeah, they won't be. Or have a spoon in them. Anyway, go and check it out. There's a link in the description. 20% off and free shipping using the code DEVILS20. Join the 9 million men worldwide this fall. Nice. Your balls will thank you.
Love that.
Big thank you to Manscaped sponsoring this podcast as always. Coach Buckley's for life says Rashi calling out a Lion fan channel is the best part of my week and it's only Monday. Thank you lot for the real opinion and content. Thank you for your support, brother. Jordan Nolan says Manscaped needs to get Joe Glazer as an ambassador. He looks like the perfectly shaven ball sack. You might say that. I'm not going to comment, even though I completely agree. On the whole sort of Arteta ran, Klopp's done it already this season.
Yeah.
What does it do? What does this change moving forward?
Yeah.
Does this make, like you were saying, Aaron, like you've said, VAR kind of to Arsenal? Does it make them analyse VAR? Does it make them put more cameras on the pitch? Because that was one of the issues. There wasn't enough cameras to see whether Gordon was offside and whether Joe Willock had gone out of play with the ball. Yeah. What do you do?
Well, we're clearly at a point where there isn't enough cameras and data to support the way they want football to be reffed. So occasionally we see these things of like, we couldn't get the lines right, we couldn't do this, we couldn't do that, and yet we've still got referees who are encouraged to let play go because if they miss something, it can get dragged back for VAR. And yet you have these moments where there weren't enough cameras. We saw it for United against Brighton, which we'll get into. There isn't a camera down the goal line that's not, between the goalposts. So you miss things. So the refs are reffing like, well, let it play on because if it, I'll get a call and I made a mistake, bring it back. But then once it goes to VAR, it has to be a clear and obvious error to be overturned. So then you end up things happening and things being missed and that Newcastle goal being allowed to stand, which, I can see the argument both ways. But they were always going to let it go because you can just check. But then to now overturn it, it has to be clear and obvious error, and then the VAR system fails, and all of a sudden you've got goals being given that shouldn't be given. Like let's move on and talk about the United. Well, let's move on.
Can I just add one thing though?
Yeah.
Because I think we've got it here. It says Arteta on the 6th of October said they are trying to make the best decisions. This is on VAR. We need to understand that mistakes happen.
Yeah.
And then on the 4th of November, so less than a month later, praising my players for the way that we played. We didn't deserve to lose the match playing in their ground, and we lose because of clear and obvious decisions. It's embarrassing. It's a disgrace. That's what it is, a disgrace. Is there not an element of just, you're always going to get managers moaning when they don't get decisions? Because he's saying they're doing the best they can. And then when it's something that he, has gone against him like massively, like, is this just going to carry on forever, basically? Like, you're always going to get ref. You mentioned Fergie moan about refs. You're not just, is this not part and parcel of football?
I think that's it. Now, I think we need to accept that it's not going away.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be errors after error after error, and we can have as many cameras as you want, but there's always going to be human error. And I think until then, we're going to keep having this discussion over and over again. I've never been a fan of it. I've never been a fan of it because I find I can't celebrate a goal. For me personally, when a goal comes in,
100% agree with you.
I don't like not knowing if it's a goal. And it's like, that takes enjoyment out for me. But I think Arteta, he's gone, the reason why Arsenal interjected, because he had a political thing about, they're doing the best or whatever, because that's what they get told to do, the Arsenal machine. Whereas he's gone full rant and personal and emotive, and that's why they've said, we need to support him now, kind of thing. But I'm not a fan.
No, I'm not. I agree with everything you said about VAR. Me and you've been here before where you've held back celebrating a goal because you thought you're waiting for VAR. I've done it in the ground. I've done it. It doesn't have to be whether you're in the ground or you're in the studio, you're at home, wherever. You celebrate. You think, hang on a minute. Or you go out, celebrate, limbs all over the gap, and then 5 minutes later, because it takes ages, you go, actually, it's not a goal. Like we saw against Fulham. Yeah. I did not see anything wrong with that goal when Scott McTominay scored it. I didn't think anyone was offside. I didn't see there's any issues. I just celebrate that goal like I'd celebrate any goal for Manchester United. And then later on, it transpires it's subjective offside. Yeah.
In the past,
is just a new thing.
You knew roughly whether a goal had something contentious about it, didn't you? You could tell if it's maybe an offside, you'd wait and look for the linesman. Yeah. If there's he's sort of chested it and it could have been a handball, or was that an elbow. Usually you were looking for a linesman at the appropriate times after a goal, and you maybe wouldn't celebrate those quite as strongly straight away. But now, it's stuff that you could never have imagined. Like Maguire, didn't cross my mind that he could stop that goal being allowed. He didn't touch the ball. The ball doesn't really go. It goes near him, but he's not part of the goal. He's not assisting. He's not scoring. Like in the past, I would never have considered that he could be offside there. Whereas now, because it's something that could have happened, 30 seconds earlier at the other end of the pitch. If there's an elbow or a trip or something, it's getting called back. If it's an offside of a player that's not involved in the goal, subjective. You really can't celebrate anything because it literally, the overruling and overturning could come from anywhere. So it's just a shame, and the sort of Arsenal and the Liverpool, they're kind of going with their let's try and let's just go ballistic basically. Ten Hag is more of the school of he'll express his problems and stuff he doesn't like, but he really, I think, of all the managers I've seen, certainly in recent years, really doesn't like going for excuses as much as possible. Occasionally he will, because he's a human being. But really, he's not one to dwell on excuses, is he? And I respect that about him in some senses. But on the other hand, I think it might hurt United long term.
I think so. I think maybe he needs to plant that seed now.
Do you reckon?
Fergie did it. He planted the seed about timekeeping. He did shirts with different colour. The refs did this. He planted excuses, and it was in the maybe I'd like to see probably a little bit of mourning from Ten Hag. Yeah. In order to start thinking, we're going to get a backlash, personally. Because now it's been clear that United have had so many decisions against us. Is it because they know there's not going to be any backlash from this?
You might have a point there, actually, Aaron, because it takes us up to our next point. Yeah. ESPN have put out these VAR stats, and United have the lowest VAR goal difference in the league. So if you took away VAR, we'd have more goals in our favour than anyone else. And obviously, VAR is a thing. But it's not just the fact that we've got this sort of, deficit from VAR that it's cost us more goals than it's cost anyone else. It's the timing of these VAR decisions as well that's the has been horrendous. I'm going to go through some of these now. And these are the sort of, these are in the league where we've had decisions and pivotal moments where there's been either a goal or a goal disallowed or a goal that shouldn't have stood that has stood, or some sort of incident, a penalty or whatever, where you go, actually, VAR could have gone the other way then, and if it had gone the other way, it would have mattered to us. So early on in the season, for starters, right, let's get one thing out. It's not on the list here, but I want to point out the Wolves game with Onana. Yeah, I think we're paying for that every game since, because there was that last minute foul by Onana. I think it was on, I forget, was it on Dawson? And I can't remember, it might have not been him, but it was one of the Wolves players. It should have been a penalty, really. If I'm a Wolves fan, I'm screaming for a penalty. It wasn't given, but I think we've been punished every game since then, honestly. So Spurs away, Romero handball on Garnacho's shot. As much a handball as you will ever see. Yeah. He shoots from enough distance where Romero could get his arm out of the way. His arm's in an unnatural position. The shot's going towards the goal. It's in the area. It's a penalty. Yeah. We've seen that penalty given a few weeks later by Romero handballing it against Arsenal when he shot from someone shoots closer to him, so he's got less time to get his arm out of the way. It's given. So that was a shocking decision. Bruno Fernandes asks for an apology and gets laughed out of town. Against Arsenal, when United play Arsenal, there's the Gabriel foul on Højlund. That's a penalty. People look at that, and Højlund is wrestled to the ground, and Højlund doesn't go down easily. You saw it against Manchester City, where perhaps he should have gone down when John Stones gave him a little pull. But he doesn't. He battles, and he's wrestled to the ground. It's not given. Garnacho offside goal at 1-1. Sorry, the Romero handball was at 0-0. The Gabriel foul was at 1-1. The Garnacho offside goal was at 1-0. Would have made it 2-1. Yeah. So these are pivotal moments in the game. It's not like the game's already done or it doesn't matter. It's a consolation goal or the 5th goal in a 6-0 win or whatever. These matter. These are important points. Against Brighton, there's a Højlund disallowed goal at 1-0 to Brighton.
Which, especially after the Newcastle one the other day, that I went back and looked at that because obviously the Newcastle goal stood partly because the technology couldn't clarify with 100% certainty whether the ball had gone out or not, and because of that they stayed with the on-field decision, which was we don't think it's gone out, play on. I went back and watched the Brighton goal disallowed, thinking, am I misremembering this? Was that disallowed to start with and then they couldn't overturn it? And it wasn't. The goal was given and was then overturned because the ball was over the line. And looking at both angles you could see, it was no more conclusive than the Newcastle one. And the technology certainly didn't 100% line it up. There's one angle from behind Rashford where I still think it looks like the edge of the curve of the ball is above the line when he kicks it. It's no further over than the Newcastle one, probably less so, and yet they overturned that. They deemed it was they deemed that the angles were clear enough to say that was definitely crossing the line. You just think why is that then that? And like you said, we were 1-0 down at the time. Sorry to interrupt you, but that one really pissed me off more than everything.
It matters as well because that would have been Højlund's Premier League goal. It's it could have changed the game, and also he struggled for goals in the Premier League. Obviously, that would have sort of giving him the real positive start that he needed. So there's just a lack of consistency, like you say. So there's that one. Against Crystal Palace, there's the Joel Ward handball at 1-0. That could have been the equaliser, could have been a penalty, could have been an equaliser. Against City, the Højlund foul at 0-0. And the issue I've got with that one is, you see those in every single set piece where there's players in the box. Yeah. They've always got... I was watching the Arsenal Newcastle game. That happened on every single set piece, whether it's a corner or a free kick, crossing to the box. Players grappling, it goes on constantly. Never given as a penalty, except when it's Manchester United. And also against City, there was the foul I mentioned to you a minute ago, where John Stones, I think, just gives Højlund a little pull. That's at 1-0. That could have made a big difference, because that's likely a red card if that's given, if Højlund goes down. But even the fact he stays on his feet, it could have been looked at, but it isn't. So these are big decisions at pivotal moments, all going against United. Yeah. Not one of them where you go, we got away with that one, or that helps us. To the point of, some of them, like the Højlund foul. I was at that game. Barely anyone of City, I think a couple of players from City moaned, I think Grealish and Rodri, but the rest of them didn't. Yeah. And then when it was looked at VAR, everyone was going, looking at what? Yeah. What are you on about? What's going on? No one could believe what was going on because no one thought, this is going to be that pull that Højlund's done on Rodri. It's like they try to look for something. Yeah. That's what frustrates me. It's a lack of consistency. If I saw that penalty being given every week, I'd go, fair enough, it's a penalty. But you don't see it, and you see that foul, in inverted commas, happening every week. Along with that also, you've got the disallowed goals versus Burnley, Galatasaray and Fulham. And then that conceding that handball versus Bayern as well. It just feels like, at the minute, United aren't getting any decisions. No. And we're not only not getting them, we're not getting them at crucial times in games. Yeah. Other than that Wolves one, which I mentioned, and the fact that we're bottom of the VAR table, maybe you've got a point, Aaron. Maybe it's something where they know they'll get away with it, United. Even because if Ten Hag won't call them out. I'm not blaming him, but it feels a little bit like something's going on. And I hate saying that because it sounds very Arsenal. It's a conspiracy. But you look at the stats, we're bottom of the VAR table. Yeah. We've every right to feel aggrieved.
Even if you take away the let's just say no one's doing this on purpose. In every single one of those instances, the fact that it's Man United played no part whatsoever. It's still horrendous luck. Like if nothing else, United have had shit luck this season. There's certain ones on there, especially. Looking back, the Gabriel foul on Højlund is awful and far more of a foul than the Højlund one against City. The Romero handball is astonishingly bad. Like, just a terrible decision. His arm is up there. Ridiculous. It's just stupid. The Højlund disallowed goal, again, now following that Newcastle game, looks more and more ridiculous because the same issues were there then. The goal was given on the pitch, and yet they said there was enough to overturn it. Like, those ones in particular, to me, are just awful. Just shocking decisions. And again, let's assume it's just incompetence or bad luck. United have had a lot of bad luck this season. If you put all those down to bad luck or whatever, some of them are just, some of them what, a good chunk of bad luck, then you factor in the amount of injuries we've had this season. Then you factor in the way United completely botched the Mason Greenwood situation, and rumours he's coming back, and he told people, and then actually they went back on it, and there was all the stuff with the charity that couldn't have really handled that much worse without bringing it back. Then you look at the Sancho situation. Like, it has been a tremendously difficult start, not helped by seemingly entirely bad. Like, I can't think of much good luck we've had this season. Like, take the conspiracy out of it. United have just had awful luck this season, and and it's obviously it shows. There's a lot of reasons why this season has been hard. Problems with players, problems with the manager, this, that, and the other. But just the luck has been so against us so far this season, and hopefully that's going to turn around. But there's a lot already, isn't there, that's gone wrong? There's
a lot. It's like a season's worth already, isn't
it?
It is. Maybe a season and a half. I couldn't predict when I was here last that what had happened. I think the VAR results, there's more than enough for it to be a mistake. I think there is a conspiracy. I don't want to be one of those fans, but there's something going on because there's enough. But at the same time, no one could predict the Sancho mess. Everything that's going on seems to be... It's a season's worth, like I said.
What do you reckon then, Aaron? Because you said VAR is wrecking it for you as a fan. You don't enjoy it. Me and Joe don't enjoy it. Every fan I've spoken to doesn't enjoy it. Whether even, spoke to fans of rival clubs and they want rid of it. And I bet if you ask Arsenal fans this morning, they'd say the same. What's the solution? Is it scrap it? Is it bring in a time penalty? Or not a time penalty, maybe a time restriction? You've got a minute to decide. What would you like to see happen if you had a magic wand to rectify the mess that VAR seems to be putting us in?
I think VAR's here to stay. I think more culpability on the people that made the decisions. Years ago, if a referee made a few bad decisions, it'd be down to the Championship. It used to happen, didn't it?
It still happens now. Anthony Taylor's gone down. So you'd have that with VAR people as well.
100%. They need to be more culpable because they can happily sit in the VAR room and there's not really any culpability for them, really. They can just hide behind it and it's the referee who gets the blunt of it.
Yeah.
So maybe they need to start pointing the finger a little bit more, making them a bit more.
It's tough though, isn't it? Because I agree that you need something, but then, too much of that and you end up with, that old sort of medieval, if a surgeon makes a mistake, then he gets his hand cut off. And you think, well, that just stops people wanting to be surgeons. Like, you get to the point where it's not worth being a ref. It's not worth working in the VAR room because you need some sort of punishment or something that, a reason to try your best and not make mistakes. But then you don't want the stakes to be so high that pressure and nerves and anxiety come into the decision-making process. And then also this job becomes so undesirable because it's just a sequence of mistakes and abuse that no one wants to be a ref, so the standards go down because there's less people to pick from. It is a really hard problem to work out, and
I think they can make it. I think they can do things to maybe help the people in the VAR room or make it a little bit easier. I think for the referees when they're reviewing stuff, for starters, I'd get rid of the slow-mo replays. That burns my head out because everything looks different in a slow-mo. It does. Yeah. There was the Sabitzer one the other year last season where it looked like he stamped on someone. He didn't. No. But when you froze it he pulled out. When you slow things down or freeze frame it, it's completely skewing what you're actually watching. So get rid of that for starters. I'd get rid of this idea that offsides can be subjective. I think that's a nonsense. I don't know where it's come from. You're either offside or you're not. It should be black and white. There shouldn't be a subjective offside. No. If you're not sure whether he's offside or not, he's not offside. It's that simple. It's not, we don't know. We've watched it 15 times. We've watched it for 5 minutes. We still don't know. Let's ask the ref to decide. No, that's a nonsense. And I'd say that if I probably wouldn't say it, but I'd think it if the goal gone against us. forget subjective offsides. And maybe it is something like, we had it in the Euros, I think, where the decisions were quick. It wasn't 5 minutes. The games were quick.
Yeah, they were.
Like, you'd have a decision within a minute. You can't have players stood around for 5 minutes waiting for a decision in the middle of a football match.
Momentum's so big.
It is. And it's like, United on Saturday went from buzzing, because we've just scored a goal, early goal, which we rarely do. Scott McTominay's got his 4th goal in 3 games, whatever it is. He's absolutely buzzing. The team like, great stuff. Garnacho's got his assist. Everyone's happy. The Fulham crowd are fuming. And then you're waiting for 5 minutes. Everyone's cooling down. And then at the end of it, you get a decision against you, so you're deflated. You're like, oh, I've got to go again. And it's just horrible. So I think you need to start doing a few things better. Just before I get to you, Joe, I'm going to go through some of the comments. Colin Wilmot, who's been a member of the Academy for 25 months. VAR should never have been brought in. Why change the rules for the elite level? Grassroots football shouldn't be a different game. UTP, I agree with that as well. I feel like it does feel a bit like, well, if you've got VAR because you're important and special, some of these games in the Championship can literally decide the future of a club forever. Like, you've had teams in the Championship who get relegated from the Championship and never recover. Yeah. Like, the club goes under. So it's not like the Championship isn't as important. And also, some of those clubs in the Championship are, if you want to go down that route, as big as some of the clubs in the Premier League. Yeah. Like, they are. So it's like, is West Brom a smaller club than Luton, for example? I wouldn't say so. So I feel like it's a bit unfair that the Championship's almost like, I get your point, but we send referees down there when they're no good. They don't get
the
VAR.
naughty step for refs.
Yeah, like, isn't it? You don't matter, you. So like, we'll give you to the Championship because you're terrible.
Like, you're feeding your leftovers to the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have the scraps of the Sunday dinner.
Oh, right, great. Like, now, we're just getting these people who, not only are they inept, but they know they're inept because they've been relegated.
They're currently doing basically community service in the Championship. That is it, isn't it?
Yeah.
You get sent down to your little community service.
They're there 20 hours in the Championship.
Yeah, they've got the high-vis jacket on. And they're just
Litter
doing Championship
and all
work.
that round the pitch as they're blowing the whistle. Make sure you pick all that up. Yeah, come on. Fergal McClement says, the complaints are tactical. Keep an eye on how many 50-50 decisions Arsenal get. As you were saying, over the next few months, refs' egos are an issue too. Sartorial Sky says, fast lines for offside. Fat lines, sorry, he's corrected himself. Fat lines
Steve's
for offside.
idea.
Yeah, I think Steve Howson said that one. Yeah, I mean, there's a few sort of suggestions there. I
ended up getting into a bit of sort of deep conversation with my dad about this after the Rugby Union World Cup final, because of how different the approach is to refereeing and how different the relationship is between refs and players in rugby. But then we sort of talked about it, and it's like, right, okay, first of all, would it be good if you could hear the refs and have them mic'd up?
Definitely, yeah.
Initially, it seems like a good idea, but then straight away you're thinking, okay, so this is televised. This is at 2:00 or 1:00, whatever, on a Saturday, Sunday. And then immediately you have to tell players to stop swearing, because now there's a chance that could be televised. So then you have to change, or you're constantly going to be having. Sorry for the language there. You could hear a bit of shouting. So then you're going to have players getting booked for swearing all the time, because they're going to have to really clamp down on that for this microphone to be televised. Then you're going to have to change the way that the crowds chant and cheer, and you're going to have people like it's going to try, like, just having a mic'd up. The knock-on effect would sort of fundamentally change the relationship between fans, players, and refs. Like, there would be so much that has to go into it. You couldn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, because if you've got a player going fucking that can't be a thing. So then they have to get booked. So then I don't know. Like, everything you can think of has got weird flaws because of how big and how different football is to every other sport. There isn't the stop-start nature. There isn't the time to review these things. And the ref in the Rugby World Cup was, like, notoriously apparently the best ref in the world. That's what everyone was saying about him. Really stern, sort of head teacher vibe almost. But he's talking to everyone first name, and it's sort of a respectful thing back and forth. That isn't the relationship between footballers and refs in football, is it? It's we both sort of hate each other, but we kind of get through it as much as we can. Like, the amount of abuse and stick and screaming and shouting that refs have in football, it's not the same. No. So I don't even know if micing them up helps, because then you just open a separate can of worms. And then also this thing of like, we're going to be more transparent. What does that actually do? Like, refs admitting they're wrong all the time, how does that help? Other than we're now allowed to abuse them, we're now allowed to have a go, because even they admitted their shit. Like, how does it help get more decisions right, referees being publicly shamed? I'm not saying they should be without accountability. But what do these steps actually do to make refereeing better and more accurate? It's a lot more complicated than it seems because, what does it do? What does PGMOL coming out and apologising actually do to make reffing better?
I
don't know.
I don't know what I'd like to see.
It's hard. It's a really hard situation.
Yeah, it's hard.
Listen to if we had an understanding of that thought process before the next day, before they apologise, if we know this is why I'm making this decision, so maybe not mic'd up for the whole game, but when they're doing the review, maybe then we can listen to the dialogue between the ref, the control room, so we can see where that thought process is coming from, and it might help us understand it a little bit more as a fan, as opposed to guessing, why has he made that decision? Maybe it might help, and maybe that'll stop him doing his apology next day because he's made that decision for these reasons. But I don't know.
I just think it's ruining it. I think referees are at times not giving decisions they should because of VAR, because they think, VAR, or if I don't give a penalty there and it is a penalty, VAR will tell me, and then VAR are going, well, the ref's not give it, is it clear and obvious error? No. So it's sort of like this catch-22 sort of situation you're in. I feel that is it. I feel the waiting around, the not knowing, the spoiling the celebrations. Also, pre-VAR, despite the fact United were going to the dogs, I quite enjoyed football. Football was all right. I didn't feel like it needed this massive change in the way we refereed games. Yes, there were decisions I didn't like. Yes, there's always going to be a little bit of controversy. But I don't think more controversy was needed. No. I don't think we needed more debate and discussion about refereeing decisions to make football better. I think it's actually made it a lot worse. So, for me, if I had a magic wand, I'd just get rid of it. I just, like you say, Aaron, I think they won't, because they've gone too far with it, and I think they'll be it's too embedded now in the game. It's like a part of the game, and I can't see collectively, whether that's directed from FIFA or whatever, them going, we're going to get rid of VAR across everything.
They'll never admit they were wrong, because then they'll lose face. It's here to stay now.
And then people will be going, we had VAR when we were playing, and this happened, and it's not fair on us, and all that sort of jazz.
And I do think like you said though as well, about like different areas of football, the rules being different for different people. Like, you've got it in this competition, but you don't have it in that one. Like, yes, it's in the Premier League, but it's not in the Championship. Football should be the same, top to bottom. If you get a red card at Sunday League, it is the same fine as a professional footballer in the Premier League. I like that about football. It is a pyramid. It is, you're all doing the same thing, just you're better than them, and the pitch is slightly flatter there. That's it.
I'd love that VAR at Sunday League.
Imagine
some guy in his Fiesta, just like with his
light screen
iPhone cracked.
Referee with a remote on the side of the screen, trying to get the screen going.
Everyone's banging up Fiesta.
Batteries in this.
The dads are trying to drag him out.
Like, that would be mint, that, wouldn't it?
Flat screen telly at the side. But also like little things that I don't like. I don't like that handball is different for a striker who's shooting than if you've assisted it. That I don't like these rules that are different for some players and then for others. The other one, offside is different if you're an attacker or a defender. Because if you're an attacker and someone accidentally touches the ball and it goes to you and you're offside, you're offside. But if you're a defender and you accidentally kick the ball to a striker, if that wasn't a meaningful, purposeful touch and it was just a deflection, they're still offside. Like, offside should just be one and the same for everyone. Handball should be one and the same for everyone. VAR and refereeing should be one and the same for everyone. I don't like the extra bits, the extra bobs. It should be the same sport from top to bottom. That's what's so good about it. I love that.
Yeah, I agree. Danny Shields in the super chat says they tested mic'd up refs in the early 90s for an Arsenal match, and it was 90 minutes of Tony Adams calling the ref.
That's what I mean. That's what you get.
Imagine Kaya. Do you know what I mean? Fergal McClellan says rugby and tennis, etc. It works because so many natural breaks in play too. You lose the essence of the game with this technology in football. That's what I mean.
Good points,
different sports are obviously different. It was on this day 37 years ago, Sir Alex Ferguson was appointed as manager of Manchester United, as we were scrapping relegation at the time. We hadn't won a title since the 60s. We were well behind the Scousers in terms of titles won. We hadn't won a Champions League or a European trophy since 1968. And the rest is history. 13 Premier League titles, 5 FA Cups, 2 Champions Leagues, European Cup Winners' Cup, a load of League Cups as well, let's not forget, and just consistently the best team in the land. Finals every season, whether that's FA Cup, League Cup, Champions League, wonderful football, wonderful players, just becoming the best team, the best club, everything, just becoming mint thanks to that man. I know
You can't overstate it.
You can't. I'm running out of words to describe it.
There's nothing you could say to make it even.
It's
what a guy.
You actually can't.
It's mad because I was 6 when he got appointed, so pretty much for all my childhood, it's perfect. You know, I started going to the game on my own without my dad in 92, 93. We won our first league title, and then it was just like my teenage years was just obviously winning titles in Champions League, then in the noughties as well. It was just great, and it just Fergie just did it all. And one thing that annoys me with Fergie now is people go, he can't manage now. If you think the 80s were the same as the noughties or the
2013,
2013 was the same as like the 80s when he was managing Aberdeen and winning European trophies as well, by the way, and beating Real Madrid in the final, which no one has done since, is the same as 2013 when he won the 20th title. You're insane. He could have done it in any era because he did. Do you know what I mean? He's just a genius, and obviously he's had a rough time of it as well. And we hope he's well because he's just made all our lives immeasurably better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron. Yeah,
with Sir Alex as well, like that era of Man United and watching United, and I didn't see all of it. I was born the year we won our first title, so obviously I didn't see the first few.
So you didn't go?
Didn't go to that one.
So you started watching United. You started watching United when we won titles?
Yeah, started. Yeah.
Because you weren't born when we didn't. But
Pathetic.
Typical YouTube.
I know.
Why didn't just YouTube
just turned up when
personified.
When I was what?
United are winning titles now.
I always supported
so
them.
You know what I mean? You came out in mum's womb. So we started winning titles, but I'll support United.
Yeah.
Pathetic.
I chose that. But it's like, if you're not a United fan, or if you're not old enough to remember it, like, genuinely, for a generation or two, or three even, if you think, of Man United fans, they are literally some of, if not, the best memories of my life. They are the happiest times of my life. Like, actually, like, watching United and the joy and the happiness of watching us win trophies and the teams and the evolution and getting to finals and then losing, then winning at the end, like, they are the best moments of our lives. Do you know what I mean? You can't really overstate it. It's not always. It's like the best thing that's ever happened in my life is Man United.
The flip side to that is as well. That was the worst moment for all the rivals' lives.
That's what I mean.
And now they're suffering their backlash.
And I honestly, I do think that like refs and pundits and this, that, and the other, like, it was genuinely the best moment of our lives. So then for them, it will have been the most heartbreaking moments of their lives and the most frustrating and the most sort of boring and horrible times. Like, even for refs and for managers and this, you can see why so many people don't like United. But I do think that occasionally comes back to bite us in the arse. 100%. Maybe even in the form of VAR decisions. Who knows?
Abdul Ibrahim says refs on TV giving political answers to their bad decisions makes them lose credibility, in my opinion. Smart Alex says Fergie and my mum have the same birthday. Only legends were born on that day. Fair enough. Can't argue with that.
Yeah, can't argue.
Wally of the week. There's a lot of contenders this week. In fact, our guest can go first. The Wally of the week is basically where we name someone who's been a Wally the last week. It can be from football, it can be from sport, it can be from anything.
It can just be someone who works in your local shell garage.
It can be anyone at all. Like, you think's been a bit of a Wally. And the reason behind it. There's a few contenders this week, I'm telling you.
The person who served me at Greg's.
Yeah, go on.
It really annoys me, right? Because you ask them, they say, "Oh, can I have like it was what I wanted?" Like,
what's your Greg's order, by the way?
Well, normally it's just cheese and onion, but I thought I'm going to go a little bit different today. I'm going to go for sausage, bean, and cheese.
Oh yeah.
So I had my mind set on it. I'm like, right, this is what I'm going to go for. She said, "Oh, it's a bit cool. Is that okay?" Well, it's not really okay because I wanted it hot, but I'm like, no, it's fine. But it was freezing. Yeah, right. So I kind of felt missold. It was like a jubbly. Do you remember jubbly? Ice. It was like So they kind of
just licking the outside.
Because she said it's a bit cool. So maybe but this was freezing. Yeah. So Jean
named her as well.
Named her Jean. I'm not going to say the one. It won't be fair on her.
Don't say any more.
I won't say any more.
Right. Okay. I mean, I'm outraged for you. Listen, and as a celebrity like you shouldn't have to endure freezing cold.
Who does?
Sausage and bean pasties. That's a disgrace, that. Do you know what I mean?
If you would have said it's freezing cold, I'd be fine. Yeah, it's fine, Gene. Don't worry about it. Don't say it's a bit cool.
Do you know what I mean? I think you should go back in there and play the Do You Know Who I Am card.
Ring Greg.
Say, listen,
I didn't
get to the 5th round of The Apprentice by serving cold sausage and bean pasties. Tell them that. See if
I will say that.
Yeah, good lad. Proud of you. Mum. No worries. It's what we do that stuff all the time. Who's your Wally of the week?
It's got to be Guy Fawkes' mates, isn't it? For like dobbing him in and ruining it all.
God, see, I have this thing. We had John Shin on here a couple of years ago from America, and we were talking about Bonfire Night. Yeah. They have obviously trick or treats and all that Halloween. He didn't know what Bonfire Night was because he's from America. Yeah. And I was explaining about it and how it's Guy Fawkes and Guy Fawkes was just a bit crap.
Yeah, no, he wasn't crap. He was.
like
He was
him,
I
don't you?
like Guy Fawkes.
What do you like about it? The guy planned to set everything on fire, doesn't
Yeah.
he?
And he didn't
Right,
know. He
here's the
failed.
thing, right,
He's
this-
a failure.
Yeah, he couldn't even do it.
No,
Yeah,
because we're going to store the
loads
gunpowder
of
where
great
it's damp.
people are failures, Jay.
Like who?
Tesla.
Tesla.
Yeah.
The most successful car
What's up
companies
with
in the
them?
world.
Not the car, the bloke.
Oh, right.
He's not in Tesla.
Yeah, Van Gogh was a failure, Jay. Wasn't it? Is he shit as well?
Was he a failure, though?
Yes.
Hey.
Literally sold 3 paintings in his life.
He wanted to cut his hair off. He succeeded.
Gene, failure.
Gene.
No, she's not failure.
Gene's a
Gene's
failure.
okay. But I wish, I feel
I'm
like
fully
the one
here
thing
for this
Britain's,
vendetta,
the one
by the
thing,
way.
V for Vendetta, the one
Nice.
thing that Britain's history is lacking is a true meaningful uprising. We had a little civil war and it lasted about 6 weeks and they went, oh, sorry, do you want the throne back? Pathetic.
Right.
In that
If we'd-
voice as well.
If
doesn't it?
we'd have absolutely, say we like
Oliver
I'm one
Cromwell's
of,
dead
one,
now.
one of Guy Fawkes'
That's all
mates.
over.
If they'd have had a little pop at Parliament, just a little rumble, a little renaissance, summer, we'd have
Me and you disagree
we'd
on
have a
this, though.
jewel in the crown of sort of historical uprisings that that British history lacks.
He failed though.
He did fail, and that's what I'm
he surrounded
saying.
himself with a load of grasses.
Penny for the guy. Do you remember Penny for the
yeah,
guy?
I still do it. Times and hard and that. Take the kids out. Do you know what I mean? Come on, knock on
Yeah,
doors.
I
Penny
think
for the
I
guy.
agree with you.
Bitcoin
It's
for
a
the
bit
guy,
of
that's
a-
what you're asking
Yeah,
for. innit?
cryptocurrency for the guy.
Bitcoin for the guy.
So you're going Guy Fawkes as your Wally?
no,
his
Guy,
mates.
no, Guy Fawkes' mates for
Oh right,
fucking-
I'll
for
give you that.
messing
'Cause
it
they're all
all up.
grasses. Do
Yeah,
you
the
know what I
little
mean?
grasses who messed it all up. They got it in there. They got the gunpowder. They got so close. It would have been not a laugh as such, but it would have been a real exciting point in Britain's history. A chance to sort of rebel. Fucked it up.
Right, I've got two.
And I
Forgive
would
me.
just celebrate him being hung, drawn, and quartered every year.
Yeah, he did get a rough time of it.
I love a Catherine Wheel though.
Yeah,
Oh
they are
yeah,
good.
I love a
That's true.
sparkler. Mate, he was out with
We
sparkler.
still
last
could have
night.
had bonfire night, but it had been to celebrate what Guy Fawkes did rather than to sort of mock it, admonish.
Would it work that though? It
No.
was celebrating basically the murder of loads of people who were in Parliament.
Yeah, because it would have been viewed differently these
Yeah, I
days.
think it's better that he failed.
All right.
Yeah, so you're okay.
Sounds odd.
But his mates, no, I'll give you his mates. I've got two. I've got the coach driver who drives for Arsenal, and who instead of going for the under-18s game, instead of taking them to Brighton, he took them to Bournemouth,
Yeah.
so they couldn't play their game. So you've got one job, like seriously, bro. Come
Yeah.
on, like so there's that. And also, you know me, I don't like to get political,
No.
but Suella Braverman saying that if you're sat in a tent and you're homeless, it's a lifestyle choice is.
Well,
Yeah.
He's horrible. I'm not even gonna, words. I have to stop myself because I'm gonna get myself
I've not
cancelled.
heard that.
Well, she come out with this thing. She wants to stop ban tents for the homeless and punish charities that give tents to the homeless because she's lovely. She's just a lovely woman who cares about the most needy in this country. So she's come out with this thing and this statement. She put a tweet out, and one of the points in the tweet was, it's a lifestyle choice. So if you're sat there freezing to death in the winter, out in a doorway, that's a lifestyle choice. You've chosen that. It's not that you might be going through a bad time in your life, mental health issues, drug addiction issues. You might have, got into debt and lost everything. It's you just choose it.
Yeah.
You just choose to live like
Or
this.
you might have just had a life that from your very birth had no stability, no home, no nothing, your entire life.
Yeah.
It's not like...
Or you might be a veteran that's not been looked after.
Yeah.
You might be
Come
all
on.
of the above. There's so many different reasons that people end up on the streets, and they need our support and help, not treated like criminals and given idiotic statements by the Home Secretary. Anyway, I'm going to stop there before I get myself in trouble. Aaron, plug something, bro. What are you up to? You never stop being busy. You. What have you been up to? You got anything we can get involved in?
Yeah, charity. Talked about it last time. We need to
You're
really...
still doing that?
Yeah, it's for
I
charity,
spoke
innit,
about
man.
this, man. Charity. I thought, you've been
Have
on
we
The
done all
Apprentice.
that?
I thought you'd be like a capitalist type business
Yeah,
guy.
you
who's
should be
looking after
stealing
number
from
one.
the poor, not
yeah,
giving
not
them.
helping
I know.
others. What's up with you?
Come
I know.
Now you make us look bad because we hate charity.
Right, we'll forget about that then.
No, go on.
No, move on.
Go on, what's your charity? Talk about it. It's a really good cause.
It's for basically making sure sausage beans pasties come back hot.
I love the fact
But
you're holding on to
on
this.
top of that, we've
Hold
got
on to this,
the
bro.
charity is Stride, and it's for kids in deprived areas in Greater Manchester who generally just need a bit of guidance, bit of mentoring, give them a bit of education, get them into sport, and it's really difficult to get everything on board and to get the awareness out there. So, 100% I'm going to use this.
Right, yeah. Go and check out. What's the name?
Stride.
Stride.org.uk.
Stride.org.uk.
Stride.org.uk. Go and check it out.
Give it a
Great
follow on
for-
Instagram.
Give it a follow on Instagram. We'll put a link in the description and all that jazz. Always a worthy cause. Joseph? Where
Hello.
can people find you? What are you up to
Oh, all sorts. Got Sloppy Joe's coming out tomorrow.
tomorrow?
Yeah,
What
episode
time?
of 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Yeah,
Looking
depending
forward
what
to
time your time zone is, but 5 o'clock UK-ish. So get on it.
Right, make sure you check that out. We've also got the preview coming out for the Copenhagen game later on today. A big thank you to Surfshark and to Manscaped, sponsors this podcast. A big thank you to our guest, Aaron Willis. Hopefully, you'll have a better experience at Greg's, because it's all about turning things around. I'm confident that Gene will get it right next time.
I'll put it on Instagram
I've got
in a
faith
bit.
in Gene. I have.
Bless her.
And a big thank you to Joe Smith as well. This has been the Paddock Podcast. Thanks for watching.
Cheers, guys.